Not receiving enough salt and other minerals is one of the worst blunders you can make, especially if you're new to intermittent fasting. I am aware that everyone advises avoiding salt due to high blood pressure, but if you engage in intermittent fasting for an extended length of time, you will actually lose more salt, potassium, and magnesium in your urine, and you'll feel awful if you don't replenish these nutrients in some way. Feeling sick, possibly throwing up, headaches, cramping and weakening in your muscles, lightheadedness, especially on standing up, low blood pressure, and restlessness and irritability are all possible symptoms. Additionally, you don't need to acquire vitamins right once to fix this issue. In fact, you can consume a lot of natural foods that contain potassium and magnesium and then season them with a small amount of salt. Although they have somewhat more carbohydrates than the other nuts, you can consume more cashews, almonds, and Brazil nuts. In addition to eating more fatty fish like mackerel, tuna, salmon, and sardines, you can also consume a lot of dark green leafy vegetables and more seeds like pumpkin, sunflower, flax, and hemp seeds. Bone broth is yours to have. A small amount of dark chocolate is yours to have. Avocados, unsweetened yogurt, and cheese are excellent sources of minerals. You can take a magnesium supplement if you continue to experience frequent muscle cramps. My favorite is magnesium glycinate because it's inexpensive and works well. Additionally, compared to some other forms of magnesium, it causes less diarrhea. Avoid using magnesium oxide. You're wasting your money. Thus, tip number 7 was that. Be careful to consume more potassium, magnesium, and salt. The following error has a tight connection to the previous one. Long-term intermittent fasting will lower your insulin levels, which will cause you to shed more water through urine. Additionally, you will experience weakness, dizziness, and irritability when your body is dehydrated. You must consume 5 liters of water each day, but I won't tell you that. It is slightly more than a gallon of water. That is absurd. It goes without saying that you will need to drink more water than someone in Iceland if you live in an extremely hot climate and perspire a lot. Additionally, the amount of water you require will vary daily based on your daily activities. You will need to drink more water if you work out and perspire a lot. You're most likely receiving enough water if your pee has a pale yellow tint. However, if it's a very dark yellow or orange, it's likely that you're not drinking enough water during the day. Naturally, you can also consume other liquids, such as bone broth and herbal teas without added sugar. The next error is a typical one. It's possible that you're not eating enough during your window for eating. Additionally, you may believe that eating tiny meals would help you lose weight more quickly, especially if you're trying to reduce it. Alternatively, if you're attempting to reduce your blood sugar, you may believe that eating less will result in a lower blood sugar level. You are essentially starving yourself if you fast and then eat tiny meals during your eating window. This implies that your intake of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants will be inadequate because you're not providing your body with the nutrients it needs to fight disease. You may continue to get sick and experience recurrent infections, colds, and coughs. It's possible that you're not consuming enough good fats to produce hormones. Because you're not getting enough protein in your diet, your muscles may deteriorate and your libido may be quite low. You might even need to completely quit fasting if you find yourself in this situation. Resuming your 3 regular meals a day can help you rebuild your physique. You may actually resume the fasting and just gradually get back into it once you're feeling better. That concludes tip number 5. Make sure you are eating enough to feel full within your eating window. You may swing in the exact opposite direction, though. It's possible that you feel the need to indulge yourself when it's time to eat because you've been suffering and fasting. You might get away with it if you're an energetic 20-something who overindulges in pizza and other junk food throughout your eating window. That might not work, though, if you're above 40. Steer clear of cakes, pies, biscuits, bread, and potato chips when you're eating. These foods shouldn't make up the majority of your meal, but I'm not suggesting you can't have them. Increase your intake of natural foods. Even so, make an effort to limit your intake of starchy foods like rice, potatoes, pasta, plantains, yams, and so on. Savor the flavors of your food while eating gently. The signal from your stomach that you are full takes a long time to reach your brain. If you eat quickly, you will be overfed and full before the message reaches your brain. That concludes the 4th piece of advice for making the most of your fast. Steer clear of junk food and don't overeat. When engaging in intermittent fasting, you typically eat for 8 hours of the day and fast for perhaps 16 hours. You have that window for eating. Additionally, the timing changes according to the type of fasting you are engaging in. Generally speaking, people will tell you that you can set your eating window at any time of day. However, suppose you consume a potato. Your blood sugar will rise more if you consume this potato at night than if you eat it in the morning. The reason for this is that you become more insulin resistant at night. Consequently, make every effort to eat earlier in the day. Some folks I know quit eating around 3 or 4 in the afternoon and fast on a regular basis. You could find that inconvenient. It might not work. However, at least ensure that you don't eat anything less than 3 hours prior to bedtime. Therefore, if you plan to go to bed at 11, you should avoid eating anything after 8. Thus, the third piece of advice for making the most of your fasting was that set the time of day for your meal. This is a really underappreciated tip. Did you know that a single sleepless night can cause insulin resistance and cause your blood sugar to rise the following day? Therefore, when you don't get enough sleep, you're essentially negating all the advantages of fasting. Please take your time purchasing vitamins if you have trouble sleeping. In the end, many of them cause more harm than good. There are numerous low-cost and free ways to improve your quality of sleep. All of the things I'm about to share with you are things I personally do because I've always had sleep issues. It may sound strange, yet this is effective. Get 10 to 20 minutes of early morning sunshine by going outside early. Your body clock is set as a result of this. It signals to your brain that you should begin feeling sleepy and preparing for sleep in 12 hours. Avoid caffeine-containing beverages after midday. Of course, coffee is part of that. Some teas contain a lot of caffeine. Caffeine is a component in energy drinks, soft drinks, and other beverages because it keeps you awake at night when you should be sleeping because it remains in your blood after 12 o'clock. To let your brain realize it's time to go to sleep, turn off the lights at home in the evening. In order to prevent your brain from straining to remember things when you should be sleeping, make sure you have jotted down everything you need to do the next day. 1 hour before going to bed, stay away from screens. Computers, iPads, laptops, and of course phones are all included in this. To avoid being tempted to reach over and check something, I normally plug my phone in a distance from my bed. Use a sleep mask or sleep in a dark room. Dim lights still. Enter your eyes through your closed lids. Travel to the back of your eyes and then activate your brain, keeping you alert. Finally, an hour or so before bed, you can add some magnesium glycinates. Stay away from sleeping medicines as much as you can. It's really simple to get addicted to them, and it's very hard to quit using them. Naturally, stress is the other component of this equation. Additionally, persistent tension that isn't alleviated will increase blood pressure, blood sugar, and body fat percentage on the abdomen. Additionally, having more belly fat can increase your insulin resistance, which will elevate your blood pressure and blood sugar levels even further. Since your employment may be the root of your stress, I am aware that you might not be able to fully isolate yourself from it. You can find ways to relieve it even if it's a person. Thus, performing mechanical tasks that require little mental effort. They're not complicated. These aid in the processing of your negative feelings, which can improve your ability to handle stress. Walking, knitting, gardening, and punching a punching bag. All of these can be beneficial. All you have to do is figure out what works for you. You can feel better and get things off your chest by journaling and actually writing down the things that are troubling you. Deep breathing, yoga, stretching, meditation, and prayer. All of these can make it easier for you to handle stress. That is advice number 2 on how to maximize the benefits of intermittent fasting. Find strategies to reduce your stress levels and try to get as much excellent sleep as you can. One of the main reasons why individuals quit fasting and lose out on all of its wonderful advantages is this error. You may argue that intermittent fasting is easy. You simply don't eat. Indeed, it is accurate. Your body will be shocked if you suddenly start fasting if you're used to eating 3 or more meals a day with lots of snacks in between. You will experience intense hunger. You will experience fatigue, nausea, and vertigo. In order to prevent all of these negative effects, I will explain to you how to gradually transition to intermittent fasting. Additionally, You have 3 to 4 weeks to complete this task. Simply eat all of your usual meals during the first week. Refrain from snacking. You are not in need of them. The majority of us nibble because it's what we've always done or because we're bored. Therefore, focus on eating enough to satisfy your hunger when you consume these 3 meals a day. When you complete your meal, be sure you are not hungry. Consume natural foods instead of junk or manufactured foods. Consume natural foods. The next step is to begin cutting back on starchy foods like plantains, rice, potatoes, yams, and pasta. You'll be eating more vegetables and protein in place of these starchy carbohydrates. You can begin reducing the number of hours you eat during the day if you feel at ease with this. Suppose, for instance, that you eat from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. 1 hour at a time, you would begin to shrink. You may eat at 8 and stop at 7, then eat at 9 and stop at 7, then start at 10 and stop at 7, rather than 7 to 7. Thus, you can observe that you have been progressively reducing the amount of time you spend eating each day. If you want to reach 8 hours of eating and 16 hours of fasting, you continue doing that 1 hour at a time, ensuring you're comfortable as you go. Some people fast for the other 18 hours of the day and eat for 6 of those hours. And nothing reduces blood sugar more effectively than one thing. The upcoming video will tell you more about that.